Happy Friday! Welcome to Scrapcraft and Stitchery. My name is Christina and I am doing a flip through for Flip Through Friday today, and I was just looking for a journal that I had started, and I got it to the point where didn't find that. I have no idea where it's at. I used to live in this apartment and now I bought a house 2 years ago. I haven't seen this since, I don't think. Anyway, who knows where it's at. But while I was looking for that, I found this journal, and it kind of starts out as an art journal, and then it becomes like, notes that I was taking for a class that I was taking, and they're kind of interesting notes. And I think that this kind of starts to show where I've gone with my style now, and this was done about approximately 5 years ago. This is actually an art notebook that I bought at a studio that I visited while I was on vacation in Asheville, North Carolina, which was absolutely fabulous. But so it has this art from that studio, and they were selling these notebooks, and I thought this was just a kind of amazing thing. So as you can see, I start out with just some kind of art journaling that I was doing at the time and playing around with different things. So there's some sketches with maybe a little bit of acrylic paint and backgrounds and things in the beginning of here. I love these. This is so different from what I'm doing now that it's just really cool. I love these mushrooms, and look at these. But I want to go back to the thing I really want to pull out of this is like, I love these patterns and these things. And I do a few things like this. This is kind of like, I just did something like this when I made the binds for the collage that I did last week. So very cool. Going back to where I was, here I was obviously kind of missing the mountains and hiking in the mountains after I moved to Tennessee. I should go driving and find some trails. These were notes. I think this is kind of where I'm switching over to doing notes. And this is just a lot of drawings and kind of things that I had done. Here I was practicing flowers. At some point I took a class that was drawing flowers, that was really just kind of a lot of fun to kind of get together with a group of women and practice drawing flowers. This is a mind, body, spirit tracker that I made I worked this out, and this is kind of cool. I was taking a class and my friend let me teach like how to do this tracker, as part of the class, and that was kind of all tied into this class I was taking. So this is from May 2020, and obviously I think I probably quit doing the tracker here. But basically you just have a color for mind, body, spirit, and if you touch on it in that day, this is a calendar, obviously you could write this on your calendar. You can color that in, and you can decide what that means. And it's kind of cool. If you actually do it for like the entire month, you can kind of see where your focus is, and it's really interesting. Or if there's patterns, like where every Thursday you obviously have something built in that like you get like all or most of these. So it's really kind of a cool idea, and it's great for tracking patterns and kind of noticing. If you look at it, you can notice kind of where you're at and if something's missing, and you can kind of start to understand why that's happening. These were cool things that were part of the class, and I can't remember exactly. This is an idea called a quantum memoir, and you put the main idea in here, and then you have these circles that are kind of touching on it, and they mean different things. And let's see. So this is the purpose you put in the center, and then you do like observe. Oh, they're written on here. Purpose. This is a connect, what you connect with that. This is what you observe about it. This is intent, what you want to get from that. This is your ground, which would be going back, I guess, to your core values and why that's important to you to begin with. Don't know what that is because I didn't write it down. This is refine, and this is express. I think maybe what happened here was I had too many circles. I think I was supposed to only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I was supposed to have 6, and I somehow got 9, so I had extras. Maybe I was supposed to have 7. Anyway, that was that. So I solved it by filling them in with other things. This was kind of a really fun way to do this. Yes, because all of these circles are actually supposed to touch this inner circle. And some of mine don't because I drew too many. Yes, that's what's going on there. That's called Quantum Memoir, and I can't remember. There's somebody who taught it. You can probably Google that and find out. Anyway, oh, here, I did it the right way. See, I had too many circles, so that's why. So you can go the purpose, the connection, the observation, the intent, the ground, the refine, express, and then on the outside circle you have connect, goes to abundance, and observe goes to evaluate, and intent goes to activate, and ground goes to foundation, and those are about your values and your core values. And this is refine and surrender and express and trust. And they all have more meaning. But anyway, that is what I understood from that. And then this is about, I was just doing the class, and this was doing a sketch of like a piece of wall art you could have for visual planning. And planning a vision board. And this was kind of just a cool idea I had. I kind of did this. I don't have it anymore because that was back before I moved. And like a whole lifetime ago. Let's just be honest. This is a 50 dreams list. I love these. It looks like I only did 30. Well, anyway. 50 things are fun, and this is just kind of a fun way to do it. Drawing a circle for each one and then having that one touch each other one. And that's just kind of like a brainstorm of 50 things that may or may not be important to you. And the reason I like to do them, I always do this like before I set my goals, as really kind of a way to just kind of come up with these ideas of things that in my life, it kind of gets me in the mood for like, what's really important to me? Where am I at? And some things are kind of surprising, and some things are just kind of silly because you're doing 50 things as fast as you possibly can. But sometimes there's things on here that kind of like repeat over and over if you do this like again and again and again. And you can see them, like if you keep the lists, you could make like a book and just keep them in there. That'd be cool. Anyway, I didn't know there was one of those in here. And so this was, I think we were doing a visual planning class, and that's why I'm taking all these notes. And so this is talking about goals and values. And again, this was just like, I think brainstorming, like what's important to me, what was important to me 5 years ago. And I did. This was kind of a cool class that my friend was teaching. And very cool. And this was kind of playing around with this same idea that I did here and kind of making these things into a little bit more of a solid idea, playing around with that idea a little bit more. And this is just some doodling. And here a couple months have gone by. I eventually made like a whole little journal to hold these for the next year. Things I was trying to accomplish. 7-day plans. Actually, this is my daily map. I was just talking to my partner because I had another one of these that was hanging on my wall for a long time. And he thought that it was something that I bought, but no, that was actually something that I made. And it was just, this is what I want my day to look like, where I wake up at 7 a.m. and I do exercise, and I have little motivational times for me on here, like stay inspired and then work. Make time for focus, because I was really working on staying focused. I think this is when I was working at home during COVID too. It was difficult. And then there's time for at noon for reflection on what we've done, another work block, maybe stopping to meditate, taking a break, work, play, learn something, wind down, end the day with some gratitude and rest. And so it's all kind of built in there. I think it's kind of cool. And there's this kind of like, it's a timeline, so it's got a few times that are like key times to kind of check in and make sure. And then, like I said, I was just kind of trying to stay focused on one thing for a period of time. So I was, and this goes back to the colors in here are actually from the mind, body, spirit. So this is mind, body, spirit, I think. I don't remember. But if I was focused on those things for a period of time that was greater than an hour, I could like mark these off. And I didn't finish the month. And I actually woke those into the mind, body, spirit tracker. Here we were talking about part of the class where, I mean, there was just always like a lot of things were being introduced all the time. I'm pretty sure this had some sort of meaning about paying attention to a lot of different things at once, maybe. I don't remember. It's September, and you see that. This is where I was actually working this out. Like I said, I taught this as a class, like a mini class once, and how to make this. And how to use it, and I think I was working out like the class and what to teach there. I think this is about facing challenges. I think so. I can definitely see where a lot of these things are influenced by somebody that I know. I can tell that just by looking at that. The Mind, Body, Spirit Tracker. This is really cool. Anyway, this is more about setting goals, overcoming obstacles. This is where it gets really into making notes, but I think that it's interesting because these are kind of like, part of the thing was about creative note-taking. And so that's kind of all included in here. Oh, this is talking about the locus of influence, and that's kind of a thing that's like really truly useful that I got out of this, is that there's the things you can control, because you might worry, I don't know, I worry about a lot of things sometimes, and being able to identify these are the things that I can control and what is actually in that sphere of like influence of where I have control over some things. And then there's influence outside of that, which would be things like, I mean, I can influence my friends' opinions or my family's opinions, but I can't really, like, make decisions for them. I can make decisions for myself. Like, what am I going to have for dinner? What are you going to have for dinner? We can talk about that. That can be a conversation that we have, but you're going to choose, unless you're like my child, and then I might get to say if you're going to eat your Brussels sprouts or not. Even then, I mean, pick your battles, right? And then these are the things that I might worry about that I have very little control over, like politics and things that are going on in the world. And I can worry about all these things out here. I can worry about them, but can I do anything about them? And the answer is probably very little. So, and this is kind of keeping, if you're worried about something, I mean, focus on, this. This is kind of a thing. I was going to say, my mom used to say when I was growing up, sweep your own doorstep before you go sweeping somebody else's, but I guess that's a kind of a different thing. I don't know why she would say that to me. Why would she say that? These are just some notes. We're doing the obstacle course. Kind of a fun thing. Lots of notes. Oh, here, I made this. I actually have a piece of artwork that kind of came from this phoenix rising from the ashes and being stronger and starting over. Here's a better one. Notes from when I met with my friend. I liked her as a strong, determined woman. Since we were continuing, oh, this is where I added the focus bubbles where you could fill in a bubble corresponding to, if you fill in this, it just means that you kind of touched on that at that point. So, like, I would say, like, going on a nature walk, you might learn something. If you are paying attention, maybe you identify a plant that you didn't know before. And so you've learned something, and that would be mind. And then spirit it's just peaceful to be in nature. And so you're feeding your spirit and obviously getting physical exercise. So you might be able to go on one walk and fill in like all of your bubbles. But then I added this is like focus bubbles. So if you spent more than an hour or a certain allotted amount of time, you could say, oh, well, here I did a lot of work in spirit because I filled in all of my bubbles. Do I know what I did now? No, but I was obviously doing something. It might have been, I don't know, talking to my mom or doing art journaling, probably doing art journaling if I had to guess. But anyway, but here, since I've done most of it, you can kind of see, oh, look, I was doing really good on, I was putting these in because I was on a really strict whole food plant-based, and so I was getting like all of my body because I just felt really great from eating right. Super healthy diet. So that was easy for me to say yes. But eventually I might say, well, maybe I have to add some exercise too to get my blue. This is definitely a Neurographica, which is, is that what it's called? Kind of an art where you make these lines that are connecting in a very specific way. And then we added some extra elements to that. And that was the thing we were working on. I have some cool artwork that came from that. I like the lines. It's kind of cool. And then you see that's that quantum idea, the quantum memoir, where I've made more. So you start with the purpose. I think that this is actually the notes on how to do this. Maybe. I don't know. maybe not. But there's something too about like, this is like spending energy, making a plan, and then this is building energy where you're getting excited about it. More of that. This is almost over. I don't know. I think the cool thing about this for me is that I don't do these quantum memoirs, and I'm just remembering about them, and they're kind of fun and interesting concept, but also I have not used them to like plan projects or anything. So going back through this is really cool for me because it kind of, like I said, really points to a lot of my background and shows how I've gotten to where I'm at now with my journaling for me, because I see a lot of this continuing in what I'm doing now. So that is my journal from, or notes, or art. This was a fun thing to kind of combine note-taking with art journaling. So that's super interesting. Anyway, I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and thanks for watching. Like this video, check out the hashtag Flip Through Friday. There's a lot of other creators doing wonderful flip throughs that are super inspiring in so many different ways, as all of these wonderful creators are. And be sure to hit the like if you liked this video, and subscribe. I'm always inviting more people to join and see what I'm doing. Leave a comment below, and I will see you next Friday for Flip Through Friday. Thank you to Gwen the Trash Witch for hosting. Bye.